Okay, doke. Hello, weirdos. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. My name is Ben, and I will be your host on the, I think we're slightly truncated stream today, probably about an hour and 3/4. A little bit of a scheduling error, but we're here and we're going to paint some stuff. And today on the painter's table, we've got the Brutal Effigy for the guild. So what I've done here is prime them black, as I usually do with my miniatures, and then I sprayed some dryad bark all over, since he's going to be predominantly brown, I think, given that he's wearing a duster with the pine box here. So yeah. So first things first is I'm actually going to work on this guy in sub-assemblies. So let's play with. They had to coax me out from underneath the warehouse risers. I was holding bits and growling, allegedly. Yeah, but you're okay now. You've come to your senses. They've managed to exorcise whatever spirits or curses were laid upon you, and here we are. We are back to our normal schedule program. So what I've done here is the plan is to do them in sub-assemblies. So I'm going to hopefully pop the hat off and the pine box in order to make painting all of this here easier. So what I did was I dabbed a little bit of super glue onto the hat and the box, and then stuck them on place, because if all has gone correctly, I should be able to just snap that off, just as I've stuck them to this little base for painting. So let's see. Oh, look at that. Perfect. See that? So it means that when I finally go to assemble him, I'll just scrape off that bit of super glue, and then I'll use the plastic glue so that it'll weld together and it'll become a single piece of plastic. And I think this should come off too. It can be a little scary at times doing this. Oh, I think his arm moved a little bit there. There we go. His arm's a little wobbly there. So I'm just going to quickly dab a little bit of plastic glue just in there. But there you go. So what I'll do is, for painting the pine box, I'll get a bit of blue tack. I'll just pop a bit of blue tack onto the cork there, and then set that like that on there. So what it means is, while I'm painting that, it's it's sitting at the angle that it's going to sit on the model at, so it means that all of the highlighting and shadows should line up properly. But we'll still check it against the model, of course. What I'll probably do with his hat is I will put that on a cork just to keep it safe. But with that, I am going to wait, and I'm going to paint that once I've painted the rest of the main body, but we'll just put it onto a cork to keep it safe. But we do have the option of painting that separately if we want to. So there we go. Nerve-wracking start. It's quite a small join on the... So I just used some Tamiya extra thin just to repair that shoogly arm. The reason you use that is it's a very thin plastic glue, but you also get this tiny applicator on it, so it means that you can apply that plastic glue with pinpoint precision. Okay, there we go. It looks quite strange. So we've stripped him of his accoutrements, but yeah. Well, let's get started. So I think I'm going to start on his face, get that sorted. Because actually, if I'm able to get the face all sorted out, it means that I can pop his hat on, and then I can paint the hat along with the rest of the stuff. So let's do that. So I should have here, I should have somewhere a card. I don't know where I've put it. So I'm just going to quickly pop it up on my I do have the card somewhere, I just don't know where I've put it. So let's get in the image. So his face is a weird kind of grey color. Yeah. And then he's got like a bandana over part of his face, a black bandana. So I actually have an idea that I'm going to try for that. So it's quite a strange one, but bear with me because it should be good. So I'm going to start off with a bit of, well, there we go. Perfect. We've got an image link. So you can have a look at them just there. So I'm probably going to do some of these colors slightly differently from your man here, but for the most part, it's a pretty cool color scheme. So no need to reinvent the wheel, right? So anyway, so I came up with this idea for, I guess you could call it like ghoul flesh or vampire flesh, something like that. So it might seem a bit crazy, but we start off with this. Just bear with me, okay? Because it's a really cool effect. So it looks strange just now, but just stick with it. Have faith. Trust the process. Insert platitude about perseverance. I was actually chatting with Play Wyrd before I came on the stream, and there was a consensus that the effigy models are just really cool. I wouldn't presume to speak for Play Wyrd, but I would say that they're some of my favorites. Maybe we can make that a little thing. Maybe I could do, Ben paints all the different effigies. Could be cool. I think if you're not, I think first of all, they're good models to have if you collect that faction, right? It's probably good to have the effigy and the emissary of fate for each faction, because all of them have got like a pretty handy support ability, as is. Okay, so base coat done. Let's just give that a blast. They've all got good support abilities, but I think if you're more of a painter than a gamer, these guys all offer some pretty cool options for a painter. I really fancy doing the shadow effigy and the hodgepodge effigy as well. Yeah, Eleanor, thanks for stopping by. We are painting the Brutal Effigy today. So I came up with a mad idea for sort of undead, kind of pallid skin tone. So we're going to see if it works on this. I've actually used it on something that I've been working on that is not it's not a weird miniature, and it worked quite well. So okay, so now I have mixed a bit of grey in with the violet to give me this sort of smoky violet colour. And what we're doing now is we're putting that into the areas where more light is reaching. So things like the eye sockets, I'm going to leave a bit more depth in there, and that's going to give us a very nice bit of contrast for when we put in the eye colour. Yeah, please lurk away, Eleanor. Appreciate the lurks, and thank you for the like there, Tiago. Always appreciate your support. Likes, shares, follow, etc. Helps us a lot. But if I'm being honest, I like talking to you guys most of all. It's just nice to chat to other weirdos, particularly with the year that we've had. It's a bit too watery, that, so just going to mix a little bit more up. Nelly versus Kersey. So is that the new ones you're going to be doing, or are you doing the new ones? Cool. Who are you playing? Who are you playing as, I should say? Burning Man fans. I believe they prefer Burning Man enthusiasts. Nelly. Cool. Just blending this a little here and there as I go. Because obviously painting skin here. And well, there's maybe certain situations where you would want a hard edge on it. Generally speaking, skin is soft. So it looks a little strange if you put too hard an edge on it. And start to look a bit more like armor. It can look like nothing at all, even. Just look weird. Not good, weird. Weird. Okay. Then I'm just going to use some straight up grey. Reducing my coverage again. Applying that to the areas a bit of light's hitting it. Like that. You hear a bit of commotion in the background. My 2-year-old son is apparently doing laps of the house right now, so he is a energetic wee guy, to say the least. Keeps mum and dad busy, that's for sure. I feel like these are pretty good models to do for Halloween as well. Get you in the mood. This is actually our first Halloween in this house. I think my wife's quite excited about having the trick-or-treaters round, so got a lot of families in this neighbourhood, so it'll be nice seeing all their costumes and things. Especially again with the fact that people really couldn't do much last year, could they? Okay. So it's getting there. It's looking a little weird still, but hello, Mike Bluff, and thank you for joining us. I am painting today the Brutal Effigy for the guild. But you can hopefully see what a difference we're at now. In fact, let me zoom in a little for you guys. There you go. So and Dapper Dal as well. Thank you for stopping by. Just gonna hit this with a hairdryer. And I'm going to go back to a little bit of violet. I'm just going to push that into some of the more shadowy areas. Likes of his eyes, bottom of the cheeks. And then I'm going to use a bit of Incubi Darkness. Give that a shake. Oh, cheers, Dapper Dow. Yeah, it's early days for him yet, but I think we're off to a fairly solid start. And I'm going to have a wee bit of black. There it is. I need to order some more of this, actually. I go through a lot of this. N50 black model colour. The best black, in my humble opinion, that I've tried so far, that is to say. I know some of my fellow Play Wyrd painters are very evangelical about Reaper's coal black, but I can't tell you much about it because I haven't tried it. So. And then I'm just going to a little bit of this in here and there. And this is starting to look a bit more looks, I mean, being truthful, like if you look carefully at the skin on the artwork, it does look a little undead, doesn't he? So and this is a, as I was saying earlier, this is a little method I came up with recently for painting ghoulies, vampires and such. It feels quite suitable for this guy also. I don't think Play Wyrd has done any painting today, but she will be able to confirm or deny that. She certainly didn't mention anything to me. But we've been busy doing other bits and bobs. So hit this with a hairdryer. I think Nick Bluff is asking if you painted any of the miniatures that you've been putting away today, or if you're planning to do so. I think you were just cataloguing from what I understood. Oh, not too much black there. And then what I'm doing is mixing a little bit of black in with the Incubi Darkness. And that's going to go into the very darkest areas. Like so. Right into those eye sockets, like that. Under there. Maybe just a little here. Oh, bit ham-fisted there. I also believe TLDNR regarding the announcement today that there will be a video of the inimitable Angel Heraldez painting that figure coming out shortly. So keep your eyes peeled. There we go. Now I'm going to do last little bit of highlighting and then we'll do the eyes. A bit of Arctic blue. Mix some of that in with the grey. Just keeping that nice and thin. And that cheekbone there, top of the ears. A little bit back of the head here. Blend that in. Dress Waldo up as Mugatu, something like that. And then finally, last thing before the eyes is this pure Arctic blue. And I'm gonna give him the black bandana. Hold this big Makatu. Does he go full diva? Like throwing hot coffee over people and insulting folks? Screams and cries. And screams about how he invented the piano key necktie. Something like that. Yeah, I get really badly hangry, as my wife loves to remind me, and it's one of the slightly scary things about having children is how like they're just little mini reflections of you, because nobody taught my 2-year-old to be hangry. He just is. And this is like, like a lot of kids will cry and get upset when they're hungry. No, he actually he gets he gets angry. Oh, he's a character. Okay. Doug makes you hangry. What, like? No, don't eat Doug. We need Doug. Oh, because he always talks about food. Maybe he's like secretly an evil genius. He knows that it gets to you. Want to watch that Doug? So I'm using. Oh no, we summoned him. When you finally when you finally come to Scotland for your whiskey tour, Doug, I'll make you some traditional Cullen skink. You know what Cullen skink is? Oh, good man. Appreciate the lurking. Thank you. So Cullen skink is a traditional soup that I make very well, if I say so myself. And it's made from cream and smoked haddock, some other bits and pieces. I actually think it's probably where chowder comes from. Given the obviously the very strong Celtic connections with the early United States. Smoked fish is a staple here. Arbroath smokies, smoked salmon, things like that. Okay. And for good measure, let's pop his hat on, see how he looks. Make sure he's looking the part. Yeah. Oh, that looks good. All we've done is painted his face. He looks awesome. How about that? A good shout starting there. I'll do a little highlight on his mask bandana, just a little. Just picking it out a bit. And then just a little dot at the top there to wrap it up. There we go. So yeah, I think this is face done. Good start. Now I think what we want to do is go in and paint in everything that's supposed to be, or that we're going to paint metal. That'll need to be blackened down before we highlight back up. So I think we'll go back to our reference image first of all. So obviously the gun, buckle on his hat, studs on his collar, his spurs, and I think on his belt he's got some look like rivets. I think the belt's supposed to be leather. And then the star. Okay. Let's make that happen then. So this is also going to help us just get a little bit of contrast onto the piece. It's going to be easier to make assessments about how light and shadow play on it. Right now it's just flat brown all over, which isn't telling us an awful lot. So Oh, I'm lost. Oh dear. I'm back. All good now. Okay. I had to fight him off. It's a really cool idea actually. Like not just of doing larger scale models, of characters from the worlds of Wyrd. But to actually capture some of their iconic moments, I think specifically, is very interesting. So I think like the characters most people tend to be invested in are the masters, right? But there's a lot of non-master characters that have iconic moments too, isn't there? You're stuck in the chrysalis of misery, but you're on a personal deadline. So a good bit of general advice for if you are in the chrysalis of misery, but you're not on a deadline, is to do something else for a bit. If you're beating your head against a wall and you're getting nowhere with something, just clean your brain by doing something else. Sometimes if you're on a deadline, that can work as well. Sometimes you do just need that bit of time away from whatever it is you're working on to clean your brain and then get back to it. So something you find cathartic, like maybe like for me, if I'm feeling like that, I would watch a good film. Like if I've had a good film recommendation, because sometimes even you can find inspiration within that. With the cheers, Doug. Thanks for stopping by. You can find inspiration very often if you're watching a good film. Or a TV show or something like that. Or going for a walk, playing a video game. But if you're on a deadline and you're in the chrysalis of misery, sometimes just persevering can work. I also find actually sometimes like my desk's in a state just now, so this is probably not a good example. But if I was in the chrysalis of misery right now, with my desk as it currently is, I would tidy my desk, rearrange it, things like that. That can help you mentally clean the brain, reset, get into a better headspace for what you're doing. Trying something different. If what you're doing is exhausting, or if it doesn't seem to be working, then you might have to go ahead and try something else, which can be painful, but sometimes you can happen upon something new. A simple little thing. I actually did it with this guy. I don't know if you noticed, but see if you're painting something and you're not quite sure if it looks good, you're not quite sure if it's coming together, is see if you go in and just neaten up the work around it. So like what I did with this guy's face to make sure it was working, to make sure that I was headed in the right direction, is I painted in that bandana, even though it was just painted in all black, neatened up all of that face, and it then meant I was able to get a better image, a better overall picture of how things were shaping up. And honestly, that can make a big difference, because I mean, you saw, like, I got visibly excited when I saw that that the face on this guy was coming together, that it was working. Like, yeah, and that helps you to break out the chrysalis of misery, when, even if it's just a little breakthrough. So yeah, neaten things up. First of all, I would try that, neaten up around what you're doing, see how it's looking. If there's a particular problem area, neaten up around that, see how it's looking, and then, you know, maybe you do need to change up what you're doing, and then that would be the next thing, is to change up what you're doing. But if you're not on a deadline, go and do something else. Clean your brain. It's one of these things, I think it was I'd never quite articulated it like that, clean your brain, but it's so true. It's something that that we should all do regularly, and it's something that I think, if we're being truthful, we don't always take time for, but it's so important. So I think, especially in today's society, with the expectations that we set upon ourselves and each other, I think it's very easy to get wrapped up in being productive rather than just enjoying what you're doing. just breaking things up a little. Some other colours. So we'll get these colours blocked, and then I think we'll do some shading on the jacket. Duster, I should say. So the thing that I would say to that about new brushes is, as much as you should look after them as much as you can, and you should be, using something like that, like a brush conditioner, cleaning them, making sure you keep a nice point on them as much as you can. They are ultimately tools, not jewels. So I honestly don't understand these people that say that they've had the same brush for like 15 years. That's completely beyond me. If I've got a in fact, so generally speaking, I will use something like this, a 1, for most of what I do. And then I'll switch to a 0. And oh, focus. There we go. I'll actually replace my number 1 every month. We'll get a new one because they don't keep enough of a point on them. I'll still keep my other, like I've still got the this is the one that I wore out most recently. It's a Winsor & Newton number 1. But you can see it's not keeping a point on it anymore. But I can still use that for rough work. So still keep them, use them for rough work, mixing things like that. But I'll buy a number 1 regularly to replace. I mean, if you sat on it, I don't know what advice to give you there, but I would say, just as a general thing, don't be too precious about your brushes, and definitely don't be trying to use the same brush for ages and ages if it's not keeping a point on it, because they do just wear out. They do. Right. Just get those patches I've missed, and then we'll put some shade on this little guy. Gotta say, I don't think I've ever sat on a brush. That's the first time for everything, I guess. Could still happen. Yeah, I think probably similar to myself. He's probably just thinking, how did she manage that? Okay, and I'm just going to do some shadows on this guy. I'm just using the same color I used to base coat the gloves and the boots, actually, to shade this in here. Because I want the I don't want there to be too much variation in the leather elements. Let's hair dry it. And I'm going to use same mix. I'm going in a little denser this time. Same paint rather, because I haven't mixed it with anything. Like so. We're getting a nice soft gradient there. There we go. And I'm going to go some dried bark. Oh, already got it out. walnut brown. And first of all, what I'm going to do is with the dryad bark, just pick out some of the lighter areas. That's going to help neaten up anywhere where I've perhaps gone over with my shadow color a bit too much. Just paying attention to where more light's falling. Okay, he's just a little guy, but he a fantastic sculpt. I think maybe my favourite sculpt so far. Worked on. I'm quite excited to work on this guy. Love cowboy stuff though. And I'm going to mix a little bit of dryad bark and walnut. And then just push those highlights a little bit more. Now let's go back to a bit of dryad bark. Just blend that in. Then I'm going to go to some pure walnut. And just in those raised areas, I'm starting to do this little sort of scribbling motion, making it more intense where the light is stronger on the model. And that's going to start to make it look like beat up leather. Just like that. And just have it peter off to the bits with more shadow. Just going to hit this with a hairdryer. So hopefully you'll be able to see this a little better now, but yeah, so you can just do it like a little scribble, you can do a sort of figure of 8. But the idea is to get a bit of texture in there. And although it is just like a scribble that I'm doing, that's going to register. It's like the very natural like creasing and scratching that you tend to get on leather over time. And you can start to put like a little bit of an edge on it, because although that it's fabric, you want it to make it look like it's got that motion to it, that there's a degree of fluidity to it. Leather also has a slight rigidity to it, so you can put a little bit of an edge on it actually, without it looking strange. You can also sometimes do dry brushing to get a similar effect. You can paint on some more pronounced scratches too. Don't worry if you do go a little overboard with your scribbles, because you can always put some shadow back in. You can do some glazing to tidy it up again. Oh, that's really looking like leather there. Feel that? Look at that. It's the key is if you can actually control your scribbles, intensify it in the areas where the light would be stronger, you get a real natural looking leather effect like that. That's not look bad at all, does it? Say so myself. Probably do a little bit of adjustment here and there with some glazing, but okay, let's have a proper look at. This is when you're working in sub-assemblies, you're going to need to, every so often, push things back together just to see how they're shaping up. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, I'm really pleased with how that's looking. Oh man, that's gonna look really good when that. Sometimes an idea just clicks, doesn't it? So the contrast with the dark beaten up hat against the smoothness of the skin and those bright red eyes. Yeah. I think if we're going to do the cloak quite beat up, I think we'll need to make the gloves and the boots not quite as beat up as the cloak. That's looking. I'm chuffed with that. That's a pretty good. It's a pretty good little recipe that for doing skin for effigies, zombies, and things like that. Maybe we'll do a wee guide or a video on it. Maybe. Well, I'll put them down there so you can admire them. You can't really see his eyes from that angle. No, anyway. Okay, that is it from me this week, guys. The fantastic Jess of Haunted Miniatures will be on later this afternoon. I think he will be carrying on with I think it was the Rising Tides box set he was doing. Wyrd will be able to correct me on that. I think he was talking about doing that in the group chat. But he will be painting something cool, nevertheless. And then I believe effigies. You're coming in just at the end, Brush Warrior. This is what we've done today. Nice beaten up leather, and it's 1 a.m. here. It's dinner time here. Dr. BB, there you go. Okay, guys, I will be back next week doing some more work on Brutal Fate. I've got the emissary there. Hopefully we'll finish up the effigy soonish. Until then, we'll see you on the other side. Thank you very much for joining me, guys, and take care.